Hey folks, I just found out that Bryan Sutton has put out a never-before-heard recording of himself playing with Doc Watson. Now, if that wasn't cool enough, it does sound like Bryan's going to be doing a whole album of these neat little unreleased gemstones. Bryan actually told me about this years ago, and I had sort of put it out of my mind. I didn't know if it was still going to happen, but I'm super glad that it's finally happening, because it means that I get to transcribe the guitar solos, because that's the only thing anyone wants me to do on this channel. And with that, I have a quick note about Doc Watson, which is that Doc is really hard to transcribe. I don't think he makes the translation to paper super well. I think it's more fun to listen to Doc than to look at the notes written down. Part of that is his kind of scrubby right hand. It's not the most accurate thing in the world, and that's what creates a lot of the vibe. And when you try to translate that onto paper, this looks like a mess. The same thing is true of Norman Blake and Bill Monroe. I'm not saying those players are sloppy. I'm just saying that the way they play is hard to get on the paper. And a lot of times when people do put it on the paper, myself included, we end up simplifying, and that's kind of a bummer. And if you look at a lot of people that study someone like Bill Monroe or Norman Blake, a lot of times they're kind of against writing things out because the paper never really collects all of that detail. So the same thing applies today. We're not going to be transcribing Doc's break, but we are going to listen to it real quick. Hopefully Bryan's got a good break, so let's find out.
Here's one of my favorites.
Oh, I love that we get the talking. Turnaround kick.
It's a big job just getting by with 9 kids and a wife. And Lord, I've been a working man dang near all of my life.
I love that.
As long as these old hands are fit to use. I'll go home tired in the evening, sing a little bit of these working men blues. Pick me one.
All right, Bryan. Ooh, that was cool.
To the
all right, let's write that one down. That's good. Let's write that one down. I love the way Bryan plays. If you don't know this about Bryan Sutton, he's such a good chameleon. Bryan Sutton is really good at just like embodying different players. And because of that, a lot of times when he plays with his own voice, when he plays himself, it feels like he's toying with you a little bit. And I don't think I've ever talked to another musician about this specifically, but it really does feel like Bryan is like pushing you in a really interesting way. Whatever you do in your break, Bryan tries to like be more of that thing and work with you and create more of that sound. And a lot of times he teaches you about how to play whatever methodology you're bringing up because he knows how to do it so well, seemingly regardless of what it is. But yeah, he's an excellent player that makes you play better because he can do all the things you want to do. It's such a weird sensation to describe. Also, it's a good thing that I started this by saying I wouldn't transcribe Doc's break because I don't think I can play that sort of like Travis style, Twinger style thing that Doc's doing anyway.
Pick me one.
So it sounds like Bryan, he's got a little bit of a drone here, I believe on the D string before we get started. We might go back and write that down, but it's not super essential to us to get that. Instead, we're going to get to that immediate kickoff and where the form really starts. Got this small kickoff into his break. He's starting on the D. He's going up to the G. He chooses the bluesy note. Could have gone with the third. Instead, he went with the flat 7. And now we're using a drone. So that same kind of note set. We're toggling a lot. And a little slide up to the third. That's the dirty third, minor third to major third. I think we went back down like this too. I think that was the line so far. So we're doing that same toggle, but now we're jumping higher. And that's a slide into the 5th. And then, yeah, I think that was that. Cool, kind of a bold sound. A lot of times that dirty third especially gets paired with a buddy. You either see 2nd fret or 4th fret, right? Either the major third or the 2nd on either side of it. But Brian didn't do that, so he's sort of sticking with that very bluesy sound. So it sounds like this rings out for most of the measure, but then we get some kind of other little kickoff taking us back into the action. I don't know exactly what that is, but I've roughed in something based on what he's played before. And I'm hearing a lot of that, what we call hot language. And a lot of the times the hot language in bluegrass is kind of positioned around here. And you see a lot of minor pentatonic notes and a lot of play with the dirty third and a lot of flat five too. We have seen the flat five. He slid from the flat five into the five right there. So yeah, you see a lot in that kind of sound. I don't know how close I'm getting on the details, but once again, that's how transcription works, right? You listen to it, you write it down, you refine it. So this, sometimes people call little moves like this recycling, where he's already landed on the G, kind of ending the phrase, but he's going to push it out. He's adding a couple more eighth notes to put the G on beat one. You sort of draw out the length of that note. It really helps a lot with vocal melodies, where vocalists will sing one note, and somehow as a guitar player, you have to stretch that out with a bunch of eighth notes. You can do it by recycling like that. I think we're seeing that same little rock, that same little toggle, as Andy Hatfield would say. So I think that little cool chromatic phrase that I'm hearing, I think it's this like double stop walk down. Just a neat little idea. I'm not sure exactly how Brian's putting it together, and I think we're finally going to slow something down. All right, and this double stop right here, I think he's sliding down. So he's sliding down either side of the double stop. And then like a little enclosure. And I think that he actually hits the open B string there. Oh yeah, that's really even more interesting than I thought. It's neat. It's neat. And I feel like I've heard that like a million times in my life. I've never played it. Now he's playing that pickup. And this pickup is almost more like some of that recycling thing. He's choosing to just live in this last bit of harmony that he gave us. He's turning that G chord into a G7, and he's just going to sit there. Yeah. So we're finally going to that 4 chord. How's he going to announce the new chord? He's going to do it right on the dirty third of the new chord. So let's drop in some chords so that's clear to everyone. Yeah, I don't think that's a slide. It's kind of an awkward slide, but it could be. All right, so he's going to make this sort of a C7 sound too, right? That's the flat 7 of the C chord. Sorry to all my sheet music readers. I'm moving fast. Yeah, enclosure around that, the 5th of the C chord. All right, so it seems like he's continuing this line, and then he maybe doesn't love where this is going, and he jumps up way high. So we just get a second of dead space, and then we're up here sort of in that Doc Watson box. Yeah, is he staying in position or not? Yeah. So that's a slide up to some G chord tones, and then an enclosure around the 3rd of the G chord. Way up there on that G up there. Octave displacement, octave to octave. All right, and he's gonna start that immediately. Who knows how long he keeps that going for. So I think that the logical way to come down here would be this, but that's not what he's playing. He's got a tiny little flub note. But I imagine that might have been his intent. I think we're getting our first kind of G-run-esque language. I think it's sort of a different way to get out of it he picked. So I think right here he's cutting it off, and he's going to play D blues language right there. It's the flat 5 of the D chord that he's been toggling between. Now we're going to use that chromatic connection. That's 5, flat 5 down to 4. Really common blues maneuver. So that's the dirty third of the D chord, and then here's a drone. He's hitting that D note on the A string, and then he's going to hit it on the open D string as well. Yeah, it sounds like maybe I'm hearing the difference in timbre of the different D notes there. That might be what's going on. Yeah, that's cool. So he's like acknowledging that C chord on the chord change by playing that dirty third of the C chord, that E flat to E natural right there. But then immediately after that, he's playing G blues language. I think he's moving up into position. Yeah, another big wide interval play. Hard to hear, like hard for me to comprehend here. And I think that's it. Well, I mean, that's not the end of the break, but we're close. This is more classic hot language, Tony Rice, Clarence White kind of language. So he gets out of that lick and he's coming down to drone that D string because he knows that Doc plays that D chord on the turnaround. I definitely hear that, but then I hear two dead notes. He's about to start G run, but then he goes back to drone. Yeah, it's cool. He's teasing that G run before we actually get to it. Let's fix some of our mistakes. This is definitely a really quick scoop. All right, this pull-off's a different note. This one is a pull-off up here. So this one's got to be hammer on. Yeah, and I think that's it. All right, and with all of that out of the way, that was like a half-hour long adventure. I don't know how long it took you. Let's try to play this thing. Can we play this thing along with Brian and Doc? I don't know. We'll have to try. Okay, so that was 10% reduction. Let's go back now that we've nailed it just one time because we're crazy. And let's go for like 5% reduction in speed. And let's see what that feels like. Probably terrible.
Pick me one.
That was all right. That was okay. And I feel like we're creeping our way up and we can creep back to that original tempo. Maybe Brian will still talk to me after this. So yeah, we got there. I'll put the tab up on my website. You guys know what to do. You've seen this before. You know the tab's on my website. That's lessonswithmarcel.com. We've got hundreds of guitar tabs, some really great tab books that I'm super proud of. We also have merch. We got all that good stuff. Please check out the rest of this recording. We only got to listen to a little bit of it today, but it's awesome. Brian's going to be putting out more and more of these. Brian didn't tell me to make this video. I just made it because I wanted to. But check it out. It's really cool to hear Doc's voice again and to know it's something that you've never heard before. So yeah, thanks for coming on this little journey. I'll see you all later. Have a good one.